That was There Is a Love That Remains by BAILER, and now joining us from the band, from the same exact room that you just watched, everybody, Sean Conway from BAILER. Sir, how you doing today? Welcome to Pulse of the Maggots.
I'm great. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so we started just like doing the interview before we were even like actually doing the interview while we
Couldn't
were
help
waiting for
myself.
that song to go, and you were regaling us with stories about how, yeah, you believe that the drum set that is behind you right now is still in the exact same place that it was at
Hasn't
in the
moved.
video.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, that was it. You wouldn't know it, but yeah, tiny little room, bin bags all over the walls, and yeah, it's amazing what you can do with just however much it was, like 20 euros worth of bin bags, and away you go. Get some good
Yeah,
cameras and some strobes, and away you go.
yeah, there you go, and that's what it's about too. Corey and I talk about this a lot because we watch videos, like a lot of videos every week, and the amount of creativity that we've been seeing from bands during the pandemic when they can't go out and shoot on location or do anything that they used to do is pretty
Yeah,
incredible. Right, Corey?
It is. I mean, throughout the pandemic, like everybody's been getting so scrappy and so creative and just doing what they can with what they've got. And I'm here for it. I love it because I mean, you get to the point where all of the heavily produced music videos are just basic bitch music videos. They're like the pumpkin spice latte of music videos, and then you get the ones like yours where it's like you just took trash bags and put them all over your walls, and it looks freaking awesome because it looks like you're surrounded by tar or something. And
yeah. It
yeah.
looks a lot more than it is, which is the entire idea.
Hmm.
And
And
I think, oh no,
yeah,
no,
it's
go ahead,
very
Sean.
much like we. Sorry, no, after you.
No,
No,
it's your interview,
yeah,
dude. You're the
you're
star of
good.
the
Go for
show.
it, man.
Okay. Yeah. Well. Yeah. We could have tried like looking for locations and all that kind of thing, but once we came up with the idea, to be honest, the only place you can do it is at home because most places won't, let you stick bags all over the walls and all that kind of thing, and you don't have to worry about renting anything like that. So just using your own jam room, it's like every band has a jam room, so it's very much, it's not really a lockdown video, but it very much is in the spirit of we didn't have to go anywhere, we're just in our own space,
uh,
move all our gear to one side. So yeah,
Never leaving the house. That sounds like my environment right there.
exactly. Yeah,
I am team
at home.
never taking off pajamas.
Oh, definitely. I had to dress up just for this.
I'm
Hey,
still
you
wearing
you and me
pajamas
both.
from here down. I'm not going to lie.
No, but Sean, I wanted to ask you about that because I think that, like what you just said, I think is a nice microcosm of your guys' band in general, right? Because, like, especially with the album that you guys just released, like, just no fat in it. It is just like trimmed down to like what the essence of what you guys are trying to do. And so let's talk about that for a little bit. So first of all,
Sure.
congratulations on releasing your guys' debut album,
Cheers.
Disposable
Thank you.
Youth, which came out on Friday, November 12th. I know that y'all have been grinding for a while to get to this point. You've had a couple of EPs released, but
Hmm.
now your debut album is out. I'm curious if you are able to put into words kind of what you're feeling now that this is out into the world.
Um, Yeah, we had been grinding for a long time. There is a lot of EPs. There's loads of singles going back years.
Right.
Yeah, it feels kind of that you've kind of arrived in a way because I get the impression. Well, it's not even an impression. A lot of places will say, "Oh, we don't cover EPs," which is understandable. EPs aren't really a big deal. They don't carry even a really good EP by a really good band. Oftentimes gets forgotten. I think Code Orange brought out an EP a couple of years ago, 2019, 2018 maybe, and like they were even annoyed that like places wouldn't cover it, and they're Code Orange, so like things just get kind of forgotten about, and it's great to just finally have an album. It's there, it's at the top of the list, you can't miss it, and it's so much better than all the stuff we had up. I like all that stuff. We all have a soft spot for the old stuff, but this is just, we feel anyway, it's so much better, and it's great just to have that front and center. Everyone's going to know about it, and yeah, it's great. So the feeling of just arriving, kind of, it's a real proper big thing for us. So it's been a long time coming as well. So it's just a great feeling having it out there.
Yeah, absolutely. And because we mentioned at the top of the show, we've been playing singles from this album as they've been coming out on the show, and
Yeah.
I've noticed a large groundswell. Granted, you mentioned that you've been doing this for years, right? I mean, the last EP you
Mhm.
guys released was in 2018, so this has been a long time coming. But seeing that momentum that y'all have with the songs and the singles, even to getting someone like Brady Deeprose from Conjurer to come on and do a guest spot on the album, which they're an up and coming band themselves as well that have
Mhm.
also over the past like couple of years arrived, as you said. So I mean, I think that's just a testament to what y'all have been doing. And as far as doing
Cheers.
that, have you felt that momentum over the past like let's say like year or so as well?
I Yeah, I definitely have. It's like, uh, yeah, no, I felt it coming for a long time, because we even before I think the last EP came out, which was like, going back, it's a long time ago now. I think we kind of knew even before we recorded it, like, this, we're about to record the last EP. Like, no matter what happens, the next thing has to be the album. And like, even as soon as we had tracks ready from this, we just started playing them straight away, because we were just like, we just want to be playing the absolute best stuff we have, at all times, and just slowly kind of started phasing out the old stuff, and just want to give people the best show, regardless of, even if the tunes aren't out yet or they're not recorded. So yeah, that's kind of how we've built it up. Just try to be the absolute best we can. And I think we've gotten a lot better live over the last year as well, or I suppose before the pandemic. But like, even just once the pandemic happened and we knew we had the album recorded, it was like, I think well, I certainly did, and I think we all just tried to like really rethink the whole band, like going it back into a live setting. We practiced way more. Like, we've played one gig in the last 2 years, whatever it is. We put more into that than like any show we have before, because we know that, things are kind of starting to go our way a little bit. So yeah, we've been pushing a lot harder, even live. And the album is just like the cherry on top that it's actually out. But yeah, mad feeling. It's really great.
Hell yeah, Corey, I want you to jump in here as well.
Oh no, I was just curious. So now that you're back, like, and you have played live a bit, how does it feel to have that ebb and flow from the crowd, like amping you up? Does it make you want to push towards another album, or like, are you looking forward more to being able to support this album live, or is it a mix of both?
Yeah, it is a mix of both. Like, no, none of us want to be really dismissive of the album, but if you think back to, say, an album you can think of that came out 2 years ago, you'd say, oh, that came out a while ago, but that's actually when we got our album 2 years ago. It was done, so it's kind of a funny one. Like, I'm not dismissing this album at all, but we are very much looking like towards the next thing already, because
Mm-hmm.
people are only getting to grips with this now, but we've known even things we could have done, or like that we will do better in future. And it's impossible not to think of little ideas. How could we start the next one? And we haven't started writing it yet, but I already know that from listening to it each, like 200 times each, we already know kind of how good the next thing has to be. And we're all itching to get working on it, even though this just come out. But that's the pandemic for you. It's just,
It slowed
you know,
everything down, but at the same time
it's
it
weird.
sped
Yeah.
everything up,
Mm,
because it with no time on your hands, you just want to write more music.
exactly. We did as well, but I think without the album, it felt weird to write an album, say, and the first one isn't even out yet. It's like we don't even know how that's been received, and we've already tried to move on. So we really just wanted to focus all our attention on getting this out and kind of giving it the attention it deserves with the videos, and not stray from that mindset. I still feel like we're kind of in this album's mindset a little bit, because it's just out and all that. Um, but yeah, very much looking forward to the next thing already, whatever that will be. But now that this is out, we can start to kind of look towards the future. Gigs, I don't know, but certainly creatively, we will
Yeah,
like to
and
move on.
Sean, it's funny that you bring that up because I was just doing another stream this past Friday with a band that also released an album on Friday, Silent Planet, and they were saying basically the same thing, that like, hey, this album has been in the can for 2 years now, and like, yes, we've got it out and we're happy and we love this thing, but we're already writing for the next album and we want to start going to that. So like, y'all aren't alone in doing that. I think this time has done that
Totally.
for a lot of people who are sitting on stuff. But I want to transition a little bit because you said that you started to sort of get in a little bit of a mindset for the next album and everything like that. But, at the very end of There Is a Love That Remains, we were talking about that just like absolutely filthy, nasty breakdown that just like ends, which is crazy because the wheelhouse that you guys play in this album, right? You do, there are some dynamics and everything in there, but there is a lane that y'all stick in for this one, which is really nice to see. Even, that I think it's like track 9 or something like that, almost the end of the album, and you're still rolling out these like ridiculous breakdowns that you haven't even heard, even though there are breakdowns earlier in the album and stuff like that. So I'm curious as far as like how y'all put these songs together and how maybe what your mindset has changed now that you're starting to think about the next one.
Yeah. Like, I think the way this one came together, it was kind of half, here's a track, where do we put it? And sometimes we were thinking, let's write a great track 9, or maybe not track 9, but like, let's try and come up with an intro. And there was a lot of tracks, like the intro track, Blackout, was very much like, this is just written to be an intro. I don't think there was ever a question where this is going. And the last track, Fester, was 100% like, we need to just write a closer. But yeah, it does kind of stay in its lane, but I think it's kind of, it's very much trim the fat. We didn't want to we just wanted to make it a really good, heavy, hardcore metal experience that kind of hits you with everything it has, but doesn't, and then just gets out of your way and just lets you get on with your day, kind of thing. It's concise. There's not a huge amount. I mean, there's like, little sample here, or maybe like feedback runs into another track, but it's very much like you could play any song anytime out of sequence and it would be still a cool experience. It's not super conceptual from like in a prog sense, but one thing I'd love to do, and this is again like more of a personal thing for me. We haven't really talked about it, but I think we will probably try and get even more conceptual with the tracks and maybe make the heavy moments somehow even heavier, but maybe introduce some kind of more mellow moments to make those heavy moments even heavier. This is just riffing off the top of my head, but that's kind of where I'd love to take it. Just the same kind of intensity where it's intense, but expand upon it. But and we did it was all really natural. Like I don't really remember much discussion or like heavy debate about where the tracks should be. They just, everywhere we decided a track should be, it was just like, yeah, that seems perfect. Yeah, of course that's track 9. Like, it makes perfect sense. Or yeah, that's the last track. I don't think there was much of a debate really. So yeah, it was all kind of flowed naturally, sequencing wise anyway. I hope it translates. People have been saying that it's like flows really well and stuff. So that's great to hear that the attention we did give it actually translates.
Yeah, no, I mean, I don't know what Corey thinks, but personally for me, I think it does. And like you said, like you get in, you get out, it's 35 minutes, 10 tracks. Yeah, as we mentioned, all the fat is trimmed. And like, I don't think that like, being able to like pop into any song at any one time, right, is like a bad thing, especially you guys. I know you guys have been a band for a little bit, but like, as putting out your debut, you want to say like, this is who we are, here we go, and more is to come. Because like the end of No Apologies, I wrote this down in my notes, that guitar riff that ends in No Apologies. I don't think that there's anything like that on the rest of the album. And that is exciting to hear when you like, all of it makes sense in itself, but then there are these little things that you can say like, is this going to show up more later? It's like, this is things to work on. Like, it's really cool, man.
Yeah, there's definitely, especially in the guitar, I think there's moments where, if we some reason had to do a double album or something for this album, we could have like, let's bring back that tone. What pedals did you have on? All that kind of thing. I like the way that there are moments like the end of that track is, it's very much its own, like there's nothing like that in the album, but I'd love more of that going forward. Like, more just kind of, I mean, it's more kind of outside the box. Let's just make a random tone that doesn't appear anywhere else, or you wouldn't expect. And I think that moment you don't really expect. So yeah, I'd love to like explore more of that going forward. I think we really enjoyed it. Like the day that came together, Chris just came up with this real kind of chromatic tapping thing, which he really doesn't do. I don't think I've never seen him tap a note before in my life. And then he just came up with this thing. I'm like, that's on the album, so it's cool. But because we had the date set, look, we only have so much time to write this thing. Let's just get the best stuff and put it down, and we'll get back to it. It'll be fun. It'll be fun jamming again, knowing what went well on the album and what we really liked and what people like. Even the fact that you mentioned it is something that'll stick in my mind. Is people are picking up on that section even as just one tiny bit of it. It's cool.
Hell yeah.
And we've talked to a few artists that do this. Do you like keep a collection of cool riffs or sounds or things like that you use for inspiration later? Or you're like, I don't want to get rid of this, but I don't know if it fits on this album. Do you do that where you collect the sounds or the riffs or the moments like that?
As a band, I don't think we do a ton of that. I do it myself sometimes when I go, that might be a thing in some band at some point, and I'll just mutter into my phone. There wasn't a lot of that. A lot of the stuff is I just have like one riff, I'm going to bring it to the jam room. And then we end up just turning that one riff into an entire track. And that's like mostly how a lot of this stuff came together. I don't think there's anything from this entire like writing session for this album that is really sitting on a hard drive somewhere that may develop. We kind of just put out everything we had because we just kind of, we didn't really abandon too many tracks on this, so we're not really a band that hoards demos for years. I think when we went into this album, very little of it was floating around beforehand. Maybe like one tiny thing that I think Chris had a couple of things that turned into parts for the album, but it's very slim. It was very much all in the room, kind of spur of the moment. Like even Dave had loads of ideas for the track Gateway Drug. He almost had like a vision for the whole track, but didn't give us a demo of it, or there was no he didn't, he just played it for us in the room. I think this might be a verse and I think that might be a chorus, and we just took it from there. Real basic. So we didn't do a lot. Not a lot of it is even outside the jam room. It's all very, kind of spur of the moment, I guess.
Efficient.
So we're not really ones for like folders and folders of demos or anything. So, which I kind of like. I like that way too, but that can have its benefits. But I don't know. It gave the album kind of an energy, just kind of spontaneity, I guess. Yeah.
I was just about to say that kind of translates over into the energy of the album, like John was saying, with it being stripped down, and it's just like a constant 35 minutes of pure energy. And so that kind of, I'm going to call it efficient rather than spur of the moment songwriting. It definitely translates to the rest of the album, where you're able to maintain that just from beginning to end, solid energy.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, I think we do keep the energy up, and I was saying, there wasn't too much scrapped. I think the structure for most of them was done in almost one jam. Like Cruel Master, I think was just one practice. No Apologies, there was like barely anything, and then like the end of the day there was just a rough demo, and that's what you hear. That same structure, so not a lot of chopping and changing. Yeah, it is efficient. I'm stealing that.
You do it right the first time. That's what it is.
Yeah, that's it. It was done right the first time. And everyone, if people had, disagreements or ideas or whatever, we just got it done on the spot. We weren't really dwelling on it overnight. And we just kind of show of hands, and whatever went. And we just went with it. Next section, and just, that was it. Pretty quick.
Mm-hmm.
Hell yeah. So I have one last question before Cori gets to her last question. And I don't know, and you can enlighten me, Sean, because as I was scrolling through a lot of the lyrics in these songs, I mean, so many of them were so relatable. I mean, the name of the album is called Disposable Youth. Cori and I are in our early 30s, right? So we're still getting out of that spot a little bit. But as millennials, we very much feel, sometimes a little overlooked and everything like that sometimes. How much input did you have with the lyrical content, and what do you want people to take away from the messages that you guys have?
I didn't have like too much involvement. Like our singer Alex, to his credit, is really good. Like we basically finish a demo structurally, say, and then he'll just be in the room, take a couple of rough notes, and then clean it up. And he churns out lyrics really quick, really efficiently, I suppose. So yeah, he kind of handles it all really well. But yeah, Disposable Youth kind of says it all really. There's lots of like themes of, you know, people being victims of society, and there's lots of references to, you know, drug addiction and but yeah, it is kind of mostly focused on, you know, lost youth, and like especially in Ireland, it's like there's a lot of people feel like they're, especially younger people, there's just kind of like no support for them and that kind of thing. It's not all exclusively Disposable Youth, a great name for the album and all that, but there's more to it. I'm definitely not the guy to like break down all the different like meanings.
Sure.
Some of the lines have a lot of impact and they're very straight up, and then some of them are a bit more personal and some of them are a bit more mysterious. But yeah, it's all kind of grim. It's kind of Alex's take on the worst parts of modern society, which is like a super downer thing when you say it like that. But he always has a way of just turning it, making it super lyrical, and it's kind of brute force, all right. But I think some of it is actually quite readable, even for the genre. It's like it doesn't all have to be barked. You can still take two lines. I did it myself so many times, like when we were recording, where, you know, it reads well still, I think. So despite the obviously the aggressive delivery. But yeah.
Yeah, and I mean the reason I brought that up, and I kind of figured, right? It's just, you know, it's not a rule, but a lot of times the vocalist and the lyricist, you know, kind of go hand in hand and everything like that. But I just there is like an almost like identity crises and like self loss and stuff like that, I guess. Which just like no direction or just feelings of that, which are so relatable.
Definitely, yeah. No, we definitely have that sort of stereotypical, you know, singer does the lyrics kind of thing. But the way, you know, it's just worked for us. Especially like in the studio, like he'll change, like go through a couple of drafts and whatever. And it could even just be on the day, like we might change tiny little things. He's always tweaking, but it's always for the best. Always makes the track better. Yeah. But yeah, so yeah, that's just the way we've always done it. He's really good. So the rest of us just are like, I find myself just nodding along, being like, yeah, that's great. What else? Yeah, that's also great. So he definitely makes it really easy. Like when it comes to themes, messages, he's really good at that kind of stuff. So I can just focus on drums, rhythms, you know, all that kind of thing, tempos,
hitting stuff.
Yeah, hitting stuff, you know, nerdy things, and he can focus on it, you know, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I think we make a good team in the end.
Yeah, well, that's all I've got, Corey. If you want to go ahead and hit the last one.
The last one, the important one, the question to end all questions. What is your favorite dinosaur?
Oh, man. I can't say T-Rex, can I?
You say whatever
I'm going to say Stegosaurus to be different.
Yes.
I just want to say T-Rex. I mean, that's kind of a mainstream dinosaur, isn't it? I'm going to say T-Rex.
I mean, hey, he's the king of the dinosaurs. So, I mean, that's his whole.
I've seen Jurassic Park. I mean, come on. Yeah. No,
I was going to say Metallica are people's favorite band for a reason, right? Just like a solid, true classic in there, right?
They are my all-time favorite band. They are the T-Rex of metal.
We should have an entire special where we identify what dinosaur represents each band. Obviously, Metallica is the T-Rex.
We don't have enough time in the universe, Corey. We would be here forever.
But it'd be fun.
Please have me on when you do that. When you do that special. When you're on the front page of Twitch talking about dinosaurs.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Sean, it has been so good to talk to you, my friend. I love hearing everything that you have to say about as far as like, I love talking to artists about like their craft and creating things that like us listeners get to listen to. It's fantastic. Real quick, I know you kind of mentioned it, but anything to expect from BAILER anytime soon? Anybody going to be able to see you play shows anytime or anything like that?
I mean, I would love to announce something, but yeah, not too much on the live front. The main thing we're doing now is taking pre-orders for our album. You can go and pre-order it. If you follow us on any of our socials, you really can't miss it. So yeah, we're focusing on like what we can do. Now we definitely want, and we're definitely working on it.
Of course.
But yeah, gigs are tough. They're only just kind of coming back in Ireland. But yeah, mostly sending people their merch orders, taking pre-orders. Vinyl's very slow these days, but we do have all that for sale. So that's kind of our main buzz, and just enjoying the album launch buzz best we can.
Hell yeah. Mazza has that link for you in the chat. Click on it, everybody. Give Sean your money. Give BAILER your money. They deserve it. Disposable Youth just came out on Friday. Congrats, man, on the debut. And Sean, thank you for joining us on Pulse with Maggots, dude. We'll have you guys back sometime soon.
Cool. Yeah. Can't wait.
Yeah, absolutely, dude. Take it easy, my friend.
Nice one. Cheers.